You know, it's been a while since we've done a random ass presidential election prediction, so why not? Let's do one. I've been wanting to do this for a little bit. Hello, everybody. It's your boy, the Chaotic One, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we're going to be doing alternate history, an alternate 2020 presidential election, and it's going to be what if Eminem, Marshall Mathers, decided to run for president as a Democrat and somehow won the nomination. I believe he would have chosen South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn as his running mate. He would need an older politician. I would believe Mathers would choose a black person just because, I don't know, that just seems like the kind of thing he would do. So we're just going to go through this and see how well Trump would do against Eminem. Let's spell out the safe Republican states. Alaska would be safe. Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Montana, the Dakotas would be safe. All of Nebraska except the 2nd Congressional District would be safe. Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana would be safe. Mississippi would be safe. Alabama. Mississippi would be closer than usual. It'd be like a 12-point victory for Trump. But we'll get into why here in a little bit. Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana would all go safe. And I think that is all for Marshall Mathers. He would win the entire West Coast safe. He'd win Hawaii safe. Colorado would be safe. New Mexico would be safe. It would still be safe. Illinois would be safe. Virginia would still be safe. New York, all these states would be safe in Northeast, with the exception of Maine and New Hampshire, in Maine's 1st Congressional District. So right off the bat, we have 116 electoral votes for Donald Trump and 210 electoral votes for Marshall Mathers. Now going on to the likely Republican states. First off, we have Texas. Texas would still be a Trump plus 5 state. Trump would do very well with Hispanics in this election. He might do a little bit better than he did against Joe Biden, since Marshall Mathers nor Jim Clyburn has that great of a Hispanic appeal. And we really don't know if Eminem knows that much about the immigration policy. And plus, he does have a lot of scandals in his closet. No pun intended. That could be cleaned out. Again, no pun intended. I swear to Jesus Christ, that's no pun. Yes, I'm punning. But, Marshall Mathers has a lot of things he said in the past, a lot of controversial things, a lot of stuff he's done in the past, so he's not the best choice for the Democrats. However, he would be the biggest, name they could get, or one of the biggest names they could get. Ohio would be Republican. It'd be a 6-point win for Trump. Marshall Mathers would do a lot better in the Rust Belt, as he has a lot of populist appeal that would connect to the white working class voters in the state, as well as minorities, specifically black voters. South Carolina would be likely as well. It'd be an 8-point victory for Trump. Jim Clyburn on the ticket would really do well in the 6th congressional, I think it's the 6th or 5th congressional district, whichever one. Marshall Mathers would max out in that district with Jim Clyburn, do very well with the black voters there, as well as in Charleston as well. Maine's 2nd congressional district, that would be likely as well. Going on to the likely Democrat states, first off, we have Nebraska 2nd district. That district would still go likely Democrat. The reason why he voted against Trump is because Trump was seen as the radical option. It's a very anti-radical, very establishment-heavy district. Minnesota would go to Mathers, close to safe. It'd be an 8 to 9-point victory for Marshall Mathers, as he'd do very well in Minneapolis, do a lot better than Joe Biden, as he'd connect with more progressive voters despite being a lot more centrist than Joe Biden was. It was just the way Marshall Mathers would carry himself that would appeal to younger voters and minorities and college-educated voters. He'd win Michigan likely as well. Again, the whole Detroit thing. And well, with black voters, he'd do very well here, as well as the white working class population that Joe Biden couldn't reconnect with to do better in the state. It'd be a 5-point victory for Eminem. New Hampshire would go likely, if not safe. It'd be an 8 to 9-point victory, as well as Maine. He'd do very well here in Northeast with progressive, moderate voters, economically progressive, socially moderate voters, and even some libertarian voters. Marshall Mathers would be very libertarian, just leave the people alone, very left-leaning libertarian, only getting involved when, he needs to. And Marshall Mathers, very socially moderate, libertarian, economically progressive, maybe economically populist, depending on what you want to do, based off what he says and what he does. And, Marshall Mathers getting closer to the 270 margin. Now we go on to lean Republican states. First off, we have Iowa. Now, again, it would be the heavy white working class shift to the Democrats because of Marshall Mathers, Trump would win the state by 3 to 4 points. Um, he'd still do very well with rural areas, but again, those white working class swing voters would go back to Democrats in this case, especially with COVID and everything. Um, Florida, that'd still be a 3 point victory for Donald Trump. Marshall Mathers would not be able. Again, he would lessen the damage in southern Florida because Trump wouldn't be able to slap him with the socialist label without Eminem, you know, talking a lot of shit about Trump and doing this and that. Because I think Eminem is one of the few people Trump couldn't slap the socialist card and get away with it because Eminem's not going to let him get away with it because he's anything but that. And I'm pretty sure Eminem is against socialism as it is and is pretty pro-capitalist in a sense. And that is all of the lean Republican states. Going on to the lean Democrat states, we have Nevada. It'd be like he'd do worse than Joe Biden, but it'd be like a 1 point victory, 1.5. Again, he'd do better in Clark County, but he'd do worse in Yuma County, Reno, in Reno County, where there's a heavy Hispanic population. Do very well in Clark County with black voters and college-educated voters, while Trump does better in the rural areas and with Hispanics in Clark and Reno County. Um, Georgia would go lean. It'd be like a 1 point victory again. Again, he'd do better than Joe Biden in the Atlanta area. Very heavy black population there. Yeah, he'd do very well in the Atlanta suburbs as well. He'd also carry Pennsylvania as well as Wisconsin by lean margins. Pennsylvania would be a 3 point margin of victory. He'd do very well in Philadelphia. Do very well in Western Pennsylvania, where Trump that was his mark. He'd also win Wisconsin by 2 points. Again, he'd do very well in the Wow counties, very well in these white working class cities here on the west side of Wisconsin. Do very well in Mike Gallagher's district, where there's a heavy portion of white working class voters and like moderate populist voters as well. Um, Another reason why Iowa could go lean is because the heavy libertarian population there could go to Marshall Mathers over Donald Trump. That could be another reason why. North Carolina and Arizona are the last two states, and Marshall Mathers has already won this election. And I'm going to say he wins both North Carolina and Arizona. Arizona, because Trump did talk a lot of shit about John McCain, and all those Republican voters weren't going to vote for him, would vote for the other guy, and they'd still vote for Marshall Mathers here. So it'd be like a lot. It wouldn't be closer. It would still be in a tilt margin, but Mathers would do a bit better than Joe Biden. It'd be like 0.6, 0.7%. And in North Carolina, that would be the close one to be 0.2, 0.3%. Marshall Mathers would do very well with the military swing voters here in the state, do very well with the black voters in North Carolina's first congressional district, that area, the Black Belt area. He'd do very well in the Charlotte suburbs, which is a bit more red than what people typically expect, and there are a lot of minorities there. He'd do very well in southern North Carolina as well. That connects more to the coastal area of South Carolina. He'd do very well here as well, which is a very ancestral Democrat area. He'd do well in Appalachia as well, due to his moderate tendencies. Moderate Democrats are very popular here in Appalachia. You also have to be very economically populist, and Mathers, as we established, is also very economically populist. And so Marshall Mathers would outperform Joe Biden, winning 321 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 217. Uh, I'd expect Mathers to win the popular vote by 5 to 6%. He'd do better than Joe Biden. Democrats would be a lot more energized to vote because Eminem would be very energetic, wouldn't be mumbling his words. Of course, this is under the assumption that Eminem does take the presidential run serious, does his research, because if Eminem wanted to do something seriously, he would dedicate his entire life to it. He would do so much research, and he'd know so much about what's going on in the country. So there you go. Dr. Dre might become the Secretary of State, but thank you guys so much for watching. How did you feel about the prediction? This is the Catic One saying, peace.